Everybody wants to get outraged, and I'm fine with it. Get outraged. If Beckett was doing something and actually competitive, I'd be outraged too, like I was with SGC. They're not. Some kind of like, I don't know, I think they'll probably get gutted. I don't care. Makes no difference to me. I just realized I'm like stiff and sore. I haven't actually worked in a long time. Like sitting in front of the computer breaking. I am like, my shoulders are, my back is sore.
You know what? I actually noticed people were asking, do your hands get sore? And my hands didn't get sore. It is the shoulders and the back.
The hunch. That's what gets you.
Well, how many hours?
Yesterday, I did 2 in the morning, from 8 to 10, and then at night, probably 6 total.
See, it's interesting. I have found that I don't like to separate. That's one of the reasons why I do such long streams. I don't like to separate it because then I've got to go, and it's like, oh, they had orders on that first one, and then they've got orders on that one. Not everybody did, so I got to go through and figure out who actually did. And so it's like,
just move the break. What are you talking about?
Is that what you do? You just move all of the break, like even the stuff that you would have sold to the other one? Because that's
if nothing breaks in the first show, yeah. Or even if it does, I just combine the orders and then just cancel the tracking on one of them.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So big day of sales. Cosmic was huge.
I think we did almost 6 figures. Yeah.
Dear Lord.
That's probably a little high. You know, I exaggerate. I'm gonna say
I've never heard that.
70.
$70,000 in Cosmic.
Let me look.
Holy.
Dude, my internet, by the way, this is like riveting start to the show for you perverts on YouTube. I can't get my computer to do anything. Yes. Oh, I was close. 82.4.
That's more. That's over 70.
Not 100 though. Cosmic, by the way, we're obviously going to talk PSA Beckett. The freaking news broke 2 hours after we stopped recording on Monday. So thanks for that, Nat Turner.
Hey, Hobby Nonsense got that scoop, so that was great.
Hey, the 9 people who heard it, I'm proud. That's a joke. A little zing.
That's not.
Oh, I thought we were joking. You and
That's
Ray.
not very nice. That's fine. Here's the thing. It would actually.
Did you get it in time?
If it were true.
You did get it in time.
I got. We were finished
nice.
recording. I
Fire
saw that.
back up.
Ryan had called. I missed his call when we got done recording. I called him back, got the info, and I was like, "Oh, we're adding this
going
back."
back.
Yeah.
And then you said, "Ryan, I guess I missed you." Office.
The office.
Yeah, it was like 2 hours after we started recording. Preface to that, though, Cosmic is the baseball product of the year. Eddie has said that for years. I have always been like, it's top 3, top 5. This year, it's not close. But we can mess around with that later. Beckett PSA.
Collector's PSA, technically. Or Collector's Beckett is the real story. But, yes, everybody's talking about how that's PSA. And, yes.
So Collectors acquired Beckett, so they bought the grading and all the encapsulating. They bought the magazine. They bought the price guides. They did not buy Southern Hobby and Dragon Shield.
Yeah, in the video that you put on Instagram, you had specified that they did not buy Southern Hobby, Dragon Shield, and you said Marketplace. What Marketplace were you referring to?
I don't know. It's just a memo I was given. I don't actually know what the Marketplace is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so those were separated. But
at this point, people were less happy with my message because I had basically reiterated what I had gotten from Ryan on the call, and I made an assumption, which I still hold to be true, but it is a matter of them taking over Beckett. They did declare what they're going to do. They said they're not going to change anything. They're not going to do anything to that company. And in at the end, he specified, because I asked him why, like what was the reason for it, other than their love for it, because that was the main thing. They did hammer that home, but then it was like, well, it's also going to help with capacity. What that means, he did not clarify.
You believe that, though? They're not going to do anything to Beckett?
I didn't say I believe that they're not going to do anything to Beckett. I was just relaying everything that I got told. Here's my thinking. I think it will be a very similar situation to what we saw with SGC. I think that they are going to come in. They're going to use a lot of the resources that SGC had. Same thing with Beckett. They're going to use the same kind of resources, their graders, their facilities.
Sure.
I think that this is also a different animal, though. I think Beckett has a lot more prestige, a bigger name, more history. A lot more people are associated with it. The fact that they did buy the magazine, the fact that they could pick and choose of the things that Beckett owned and chose not to buy some things but chose to buy others is almost telling that they did buy the magazine. They did buy the price guides. To me, I think they are going to stick to their word as far as continuing to use Beckett. I think, though, they will take some of those graders. They'll use it for PSA. And at the end of the day, if you look at gem rate numbers for last month, Beckett did 5%, less than 5% of what PSA did. This was before any news came out. If
Yeah,
people
35,000
wanted to
cards.
use Beckett grading services, if that's what the masses wanted, they'd be using Beckett grading services.
Yeah.
I think that there was already a huge decline in Beckett. Beckett was looking to move all their assets because of that. They wanted to sell because of a lot of that. And I don't see a world where PSA doesn't try and take advantage of the goodwill and history that Beckett has purchased over the last few decades. Because if you don't, you're basically just throwing away an asset you just bought.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to say. I think, I mean, contrary to what they said, I think Beckett is just going to get gutted like SGC did. The press releases were almost the same. I went back and found the original SGC. You know, we're going to let.
Contrary to SGC, you think they're going to get gutted?
No, the same as what, contrary to what they've said. They said the same thing about SGC. We're going to let it keep running. It's a thriving business. You know, we're going to enhance what they use. We're going to enhance and diversify the range of collecting services already offered there. I mean, that was dead within a year and a half, pretty much. I don't see anything different with Beckett.
Really?
The only difference is SGC was thriving when they got purchased. Like hundreds of thousands of cards a month getting graded. Mm-hmm. Beckett is doing nothing. So I do think they're going to get gutted and they're going to be pretty much useless as a grader going forward. I'd just be shocked. Why would they do anything different than they did with SGC? That's the downside. I think the upside is this: if it strengthens PSA, then I'm in. If it gets some more graders and helps on the turnaround time, I really don't care. I haven't submitted a card to Beckett since before COVID. I don't care if Beckett falls apart, really.
But I think a lot of people do. I think they would probably listen to a lot of those people. I don't think that they get rid of Beckett the way. And this is also to clarify this statement, because you're saying it. I've heard a lot of online people say it. How they got rid of SGC. How they destroyed. SGC is still there. They are still they are up.
Yeah, it just fell off a cliff.
Well, even like the post right before, I think it was the same day on our own account, and it said how the grading companies are stacking up. You can look. SGC's grading is up 35% week over week. Yeah, it's not to say
where are they month over month, year over year.
No. I'm not saying that.
Yes, I mean they're a fraction of what they were.
Absolutely, it is a fraction, and they specifically said that it's a boutique. They came out with that later. It wasn't in the initial announcement. To be fair. That being said, I do not think that you're going to see the same numbers going to Beckett that you saw in the heyday. I do think that we see more numbers going to Beckett. I think that they will have more capacity than SGC does. But at the end of the day, I still think it will be less than, and it will not be the same, but it will stay alive. I don't think you're going to get rid of it. So they're doing
30 to 40,000 a month now at Beckett. You think over the next 3 to 6 months that number goes up or down?
So in that same article, they did in the last week, they did almost 19,000. So that would indicate maybe closer to 80,000.
Oh yeah, look at their month over month. The monthly numbers though, it was like 36 last month, wasn't it? Or 38? The week over week stuff is a little deceiving.
November, they did 74.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah, well, it was year over year. They were up 116%.
Beckett.
Yes.
74,000. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I think that Beckett. I honestly, and this was also based partially on that conversation with Ryan, because everyone's like, "Oh, you just believe everything they tell you." I take everything with a grain of salt, and I do think though that there is some truth to everything that is being said, and the way that Ryan talked about Beckett proved to me that, oh, this is someone who actually does care about this company, like the company as a whole, as someone who used it for a long time. He was talking about how he grew up around where they started, where Beckett started. I do appreciate the fact that there's some sentimentality there. I also appreciate that he is president of PSA, not of collectors.
President of grading.
Yes.
He's the president of SGC too.
So, but that's what I mean. Like he's not Nat Turner. Mm-hmm. He can't make those final decisions at the end of the day. But based on how he was talking about it, it did really seem to me that they don't actually plan on completely shutting this down to a boutique level of grader like they did with SGC. But at the same time, I'm not oblivious to the point that he did very clearly point out that this is going to help with capacity. So that to me says, oh, well, we're going to use those resources that could be used for Beckett. But here's the thing, too. If Beckett's already down, if Beckett's grading is already down, which we know it is, maybe those resources weren't being utilized.
Yeah, okay. That's possible. Yeah, I mean, I would be shocked to see this do anything different, because even if their plans are different, maybe let's just say they were true to their word with SGC. We're going to have it keep doing its own thing and thriving. And then I think it was 5 or 6 months later we started hearing boutique. Well, either way, the sentimentality with The hobby is that Beckett is dead. Like, listen to everybody talking. Everybody's like, why grade? We already weren't grading with Beckett. Now we're really not going to grade with Beckett.
Well, I mean, like if you go through, so again, I'll reference that post that I made because you can look and see there was like 100 comments on there, some mine and then others just original comments. You look at that, but then you also see there's like 180 likes on it. The people who like it, there was like one or two people who thought like, oh, they like that post. Based on their comment alone. The comments were all the loudest people are all the people who don't like it. Those are the ones you are only going to hear from the people that have the strongest dissenting opinions. But that didn't mean that there weren't more people out there that actually liked the post than the ones that had the louder voices. So yes, there are a lot of people who are screaming, we hate it. I'm not saying that it's the best look, especially given the timing. It's not the best look, period.
Yeah, okay.
It's not the best look.
Thank you.
It's just a matter of fact. It's a
Of
bad
course.
look.
It's a terrible look.
For the hobby in general. It looks bad considering all the other press that was going on before.
And considering we've seen this before. We saw them buy SGC. We saw them release the same statement. We saw what happened with SGC, and SGC was thriving.
If they're gonna do this, I think they need to come out with a different statement. If they actually are going to come out thinking like, oh, this is a good thing for the hobby in some capacity, I think the statement needed to be worded differently than SGC because everybody who loved SGC or wanted to use SGC has a bad taste in their mouth after how that got left. So if you want Beckett to be different, you need to lead with wording of, this is a different situation, yada, yada, yada. That being said...
But they didn't. So doesn't that lead you to think that it's going to...
They did not, but that doesn't mean that I didn't have that same conversation with Ryan that made me feel like, oh, there is a hope that this is not going to be the exact same situation. And again, I go back to the point that they bought the magazine and they bought the price guides. That is going to me, indicate why would you buy that if you're not going to utilize it in some way?
I hope you're right. I'm very much on the opposite side of this, just because all I can go on is what I've seen and what I've read. Like I saw this go down with SGC. I read what they said there. We saw the result. Same thing here. They buy it. They make a similar statement. They've given me no reason to believe it's going to be any different.
And again, just to clarify, because I know there's going to be a lot of people who hate my take on it, and I understand that you have your opinion on it.
This is a real take. You're not protecting a sponsor. This is honest Jesse.
This is a real, yeah.
Okay.
This is because this is a sane person talking. Because there's a lot of insane people out there who keep spouting off about the whole the offer. They made an offer on cards that was for grades that were lower, but then they changed the grades to higher, and it's like we heard that story, and I understand what the problem was. And it was a one-off situation. We didn't see other people coming forward with that exact same scenario. But the way the hobby talked about it, the way the voices talked about it, was like, this is an outrage. They're doing this all the time. It's a big bait and switch. That was not the case. But you would not know it. So when you calmly review the information, to me, I do still think, hey, you got a big company that is a monopoly. Yes, I would say they are a monopoly. Are they an illegal monopoly? I don't think so. But that time will tell if we see more data, because they have to do things that are basically anti-competitive. At this point, they're not showing that they're doing anti-competitive practices, but they are covering more than 75% of the grading community. You could say PSA already was that just about. But bottom line, it is a monopoly. I do think that if they are going to be in a position of being a monopoly, they are going to have to do things that keep their customers happy, because there are still other options out there. There are other graders that you can go to. They have not bought every grader, and there's CGC, for one, was already the second on that list.
Not in sports cards.
No. But that doesn't mean people can't use it for sports cards, and they still
use it for.
I'm not encouraging anybody to do it.
There's no other. Just to be clear, there's no other realistic option for sports cards.
From a devil's advocate point of view, you can still use other graders, and it's still a viable option. They're not trying to stop anybody from doing it. That's why I think, if I'm PSA, I may have lost a little goodwill with all this news, with all the previous news, and now this. I want to do all the things I can to try and make it up. And that's why I said in the video, it's like, well, during COVID, we saw that PSA upped their prices and extended lead times to slow down the intake of cards. They took on so much business they couldn't handle it. Well, after that, they lowered those lead times and the prices actually came down some. People said I was crazy for saying, "Oh, the prices are going to come down." Yeah, right. It's the same thing as far as bringing in business. People want more business, so they offer more specials or they lower pricing, whatever they need to bring that in. The same thing goes with PSA's goodwill. They need to make sure they are staying customer focused to do what they can to try and build back the people that are screaming the loudest about how much they hate it. It doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. If they're not going to use it, they're not going to use it, and PSA wants them to use them. So they got to do something to make sure they're buying that back. And so I don't think they're going to do all the most drastic ideas that we're hearing shouted out there.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think we very, very vehemently disagree on this. I also think there are some other truths. Like for me, this does not affect the fact that I'm going to subcards to PSA this month. Do I wish they left Beckett alone and Beckett somehow rose to number 2 and gave me a viable option for a number 2? Absolutely. I think competition is good in the marketplace. I would love to sit here and say, yeah, I think they're going to strengthen like they talked about, bolstering BGS and really making Beckett a competitor again. I don't think they're going to. So So
you think they said that specifically? Because I don't think they said that specifically with SGC as far as like bolstering it and trying to make it a competitor like they used to. So if specifically,
they very much said they're going to leave it.
Got something that shows it there though?
Following the acquisition, they're going to maintain their independence. They're going to focus on daily operations and steering the long-term strategic vision. We're going to elevate the offerings and elevate the grading experience.
I wouldn't say that is the same language at all that they said with Beckett, because that is basically letting them continue to run in a way that is competitive.
Okay, so let me read with the Beckett statement. Beckett will remain an independent brand within the Collector's family. It will continue to operate of its own operation, customer experience, and standards around grading, marketplace, magazine, and price guide.
Well, that's not what you just said, though.
One's going to operate
You said they're bringing it back. They're bringing it back. It's going to be.
I use the word bolster. They use the word broaden and strengthen. So. I mean, those are pretty synonymous words.
Okay. The way you had worded it made it sound like they were going to try and grow it back to its former glory. So that's
SGC was at its glory. I mean, no. But again, these are the same statements. One of them, you're going to just to quote it, this includes it broadening services, furthering, elevating the grading experience, running its own independent company. And the Beckett one says, almost exactly the same thing. Remain an independent brand within the company, continuing to operate within its own operation, customer experience, etc. It's a trusted brand. It's going to continue to preserve the ability for hobbyists to choose where they best want to send their items.
Well, I would say yes, that is the same. Yeah, that's the same statement.
Yeah. So again, that's what my fear is. You said it once and you did it once, and that was with a thriving company. Beckett is in the toilet right now. What's the basis for wanting to bolster it and bring it back or try to do anything with it that's going to help it? So that's my fear. However. Again, as much as I think that's a bad thing, I also, my biggest pushback too, though, and you already made this point, I think it was a good point. It's one of the points I do agree with that you said. The outrage for Beckett, the reason I wasn't crazy outraged, I haven't used Beckett in years. I really don't care. Do I wish Beckett was useful? I was more outraged with SGC, and I was also gullible. If you go back and listen to our podcast, somebody sent it to me, our takes were like, yeah, they're going to do it, it's going to be great, and I was thinking it was going to be. How would
we have known? Yeah, we haven't been through this already. Sure, we have hindsight now.
Yeah, and our take was totally off back then. And it was for the detriment of the hobby. SGC as a viable number 2 was an awesome thing. Turnaround times were crazy. They could run specials. You had a viable number 2 option besides PSA. You do not have that right now in the sports card market. There's no viable number 2 anymore. SGC resale has tanked. Beckett return times, pricing, and resale stinks. So that's a downside. The upside is, let's just say they do what I think they're going to do, which is gut the talent and take over Beckett and just move the majority of the grading resources over to PSA.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I don't care that Beckett grading dies. I don't use them anyways, and if it means PSA is going to improve their service, just to be straight, I'm fine with it. If it means anything good happens to PSA, return times come down, pricing comes down, gut it. You're talking about gutting a company I don't care about anyways.
Yeah.
It hurt with SGC because I was almost exclusively grading with SGC at the time. And then whether PSA made the conscious decision to do that or the market just responded so much so that we're just not going to use SGC, either way, the numbers are where they are. So that is my fear, that Beckett just totally continues down this downward spiral.
Well, and I will say, too, like there's, based on the conversation that I heard from Ryan, and again, this is taking from the president, who he was actually at Beckett at the time. So president of PSA, again, not Nat Turner, but I believe Nat Turner's words were like there was not going to be any, I guess, they're not going to be taking resources away from Beckett initially. So it did kind of fly in the face of the using Beckett's for capacity for PSA. So there is some contradiction in that statement alone, just taken on face value.
Say it again. I'm sorry. What did they say about Beckett?
So Nat Turner had made some comments about, let me see. The wording essentially said that they will continue as its own brand, like you pointed out. There won't be staff sharing for grading operations, at least initially, according to some reports that I guess it's quoted from him. I'm trying to find the exact quote, but someone else pointed that out too in some of the comments. But that does fly in the face of Ryan's comment of helping with capacity at PSA.
Right. So which is it? One guy says we're not going to take. The other guy says, well, it's going to help capacity.
So the only thing I can think of is there is an initial statement of it. There will not be a sharing of resources or grading operations of staff initially, but not initially. A little bit.
I'm not sure
down.
you don't believe exactly what I'm saying. That Beckett's going to get gutted.
No,
You really don't think that?
You heard me from the beginning say that this is going to be a slimmer operation than what it is. I don't think that we are going to see the same Beckett. Like your statement where you said like bringing it to glory, I thought that was actually a thing that was said. I never thought that to begin with. If we go and check tape, I am specifically on the side of I think Beckett will be still around. I think they will be bigger than SGC, but they will not be.
You know what SGC graded last month? Do you have that? Is that on that gem rate or no?
Yeah, let's see.
The November
here. Gem rates, SGC numbers.
Sports
total.
Cards only, by the way. Could you have that?
Not total? Yeah.
Yeah, just do sports cards.
So just sports cards, SGC did 34,000.
What did Beckett do for sports cards?
35,000.
Okay, that's the number I was talking about. You said 70 something.
So that was the total. Yeah.
Beckett's doing half their stuff in TCG, by the way. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean I don't think that as a business they necessarily care. I think they are glad to have either one. So again, I would just say.
So you think in 3 months though they're doing the identical number right there?
Because here's the thing, they are also doing something that SGC and PSA were essentially doing very similar things. They were providing a grade on a very similar grading system that either company could have provided. Beckett does something slightly different with the subgrades.
Right.
So the fact that they're offering an additional resource and the fact that they have the history behind them, I think is still some of the points that you could argue will keep them viable while, yes,
why haven't they been? No, and I'm not even challenging you on this. Nobody can answer that question to me, why Beckett is not viable now. They've had subgrades forever. They have the biggest legacy name in grading.
I think grading times, probably, I would say turnaround times and cost, or probably some, and marketing, and the fact that you had a turnover of like talent and you had people going to prison. I don't know who it was, but somebody there. They haven't had the greatest PR and just services, I think, in general, like they used to. But I think the bigger question is, how did they maintain so much business given all of that? And I think it's because of all that history that they had.
Yeah. Okay. So, but you think, again, they're doing the same number in November. You think BGS will continue to do more sports card grading in the future than SGC?
Yes.
Okay. I'd be curious to see what they do. Yeah, I'd be very, that's what I'm interested to see.
Yep.
Because, we saw SGC drop from, I think back in their heyday, they were doing like 100,000 sports cards.
There were months where they did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, they've dropped up about 70% in sports cards. I'll be curious what Beckett does.
Yeah, in fact, let's see. October. See, here's the thing, too. Like, this was before. When did they make the announcement it was going to boutique?
It was in the summertime.
It was in the summertime of this year.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm pretty sure.
All the way through August of this year.
Oh, no, 6 months after. So, that would have been the summer of last year, roughly. Right?
No, I saw a news announcement when I told you before the show and I was looking into it.
Okay.
I saw the news announcement was sometime mid to earlier this year about the whole boutique statement.
Okay.
And that kind of coincides with, if you look
That's when Pete
at the
left,
gem rate
not long
numbers.
before that.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Gem rate numbers are showing up through August. SGC still had numbers over 100,000.
Yeah.
It was 118,000 in August, and it wasn't until September where you really saw a cut. It
So
went
they
down
kept
to
going for
60
almost a
after
year and a
that.
half.
Yeah. But that, again, I think it kind of coincides when they started making those actual changes, like where you saw. That's also the time this year when we started seeing longer lead times, and we heard the comments about the boutique and using their resources and things like that.
So that's what I'm curious about.
When we get to that point.
SGC was cranking when they got purchased, crushing it numbers wise, like month over month, year over year, always doing well. And it took about a little over a year for them to really start to dip off. How long does it take Beckett to dip if they do?
Well, and kind of to bring that home a little bit more too, you look at the Beckett numbers. So let's call it May.
Yep.
Just go. I mean, honestly, I could, as far back as I can see, January of this year, Beckett did 64,000. February
total. Sports.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Total was 64. February was 53, 69, 57. By May, they're doing 59.
So they're all over the place.
63. Well, I mean, it's really between 50 and 60,000 is what they're
75
doing.
last month.
July had one good month of 75. Then it was back down to 64, then 60. And now, as of October, they did
76.
50.
Oh.
Or I'm sorry, excuse me. As of October, they did 93. And then they did 74 this month.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'll be curious. We'll see what they do. I'm very pessimistic on the future here. But again, my biggest takeaway from this individually, again, take away the PSA as a sponsor. I don't care. I'm not using Beckett anyways. And most people I know weren't, in the numbers, in the sports card numbers, especially with Beckett, show that. They're doing 35,000 cards a month. They were doing less sports cards than Tag, I think, last month.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure it's on that gem rate. One of those gem rates had Tag doing 36 and them doing 35. So it's like, again, everybody wants to get outraged, and I'm fine with it. Get outraged. If Beckett was doing something and actually competitive, I'd be outraged too, like I was with SGC.
Yeah.
They're not. Some kind of like, I don't know. I think they'll probably get gutted. I don't care. It makes no difference to me.
Yeah,
And I just want people to stop being like, yeah, they're just taking all the competition off the board. You weren't using them. Dude, there's a reason they're not doing any numbers. People were not using them.
And I think the fact that you still have the CGC, which CGC came out strong. The president. Did you see that post? They made a post about it. They're like, oh, we're gonna make hay while the sun is shining here. They were like, oh, we've done this for so many years and we're so great. You should send stuff. Of course, they're not going to highlight all the other things that they have done very poorly and had very bad with Pokemon cards and comic books. There's been a lot of controversy about that. But besides all that, you still have them. You've got. Like we've talked about tagging, you've got a lot of other ones, mom and pop, real boutique shops that do grading. There is no reason why anybody who has an issue with what's going on can't speak and vote with their wallet. They can go and make a choice and do something else. You can still grade your cards. You can still get the things that you want out of another grader that you think would somehow be better. At the, again, end of the day, I like to go with a grading company that, so long as they're not doing anything immoral or illegal, I would like to know that my cards have the best value.
Yeah, period. As does the hobby. By the way, that is how the hobby is predicated. PSA resells the best. People use them more than everybody else combined.
Now, what do you think about the comments? Now, because there is a third camp of people that are just like, they're taking this opportunity to say, stop grading. Why do you care about grading to begin with?
Stop. Great. That make my graded cards worth even more. Lower pop. Don't grade anymore. Love it.
Yeah, I do find it interesting. It's not that I have a problem with that take. If you don't want your cards graded, do not grade them. That is not a problem at all. But I think
you're foolish if you do that. I think you're leaving money on the table. Well, I always, here's another thing. Separate emotion from business. Mm-hmm. Even if I loved Beckett, like I loved SGC and I hate what happened to them, I'm not going to then say I'm going to now make poor financial decisions and not grade with PSA because I don't like them. Stupid. I'm going to do what's best for my collection and my family, period. If those increase the value of my cards, like PSA holders do, better than anybody, that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
I don't care. I just think I'm not sure that this statement is going to end up being true in a few months, but we'll see.
I think there's truth to the argument of some that say, like, oh, well, we should fight for change that we want to see. And we
fight away.
But that's changed, like, when there's, like, people doing things that are hurting others and they're doing things that are somehow like we said, immoral or illegal. I don't think that is what we're dealing with in this case by any means. There's not been...
No, but you can fight for change. Just got a preference. Exactly. If you just don't like, go
even
fight
if you
for
want
it.
To do it for that reason, go ahead.
Don't care. I'm just not going to join you.
Yeah.
I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's nearly as big of a deal either. It's a good news story. I don't think this has not impacted my life. Take away the content side, has done nothing to impact my collecting, my spending, nothing.
Yeah.
My Beckett cards are not worth more or less today than they were yesterday. My PSA cards are not worth more or less than the other day. None of that's changed.
And I think it's a much bigger thing on the sports side of things. I haven't heard being.
I think it's a much
more
bigger thing in content, honestly.
Oh yeah, content for sure. But being a little more tuned in on the non-sports side of things, I haven't seen many comments or takes other than just announcing, hey, this happened.
Now that's interesting because Beckett does a ton of non-sport grading. I did think there'd be more.
But I think there's also a lot more, I think, either positivity and or they didn't get burned as much with the SGC news because they didn't really pay attention to it. Yeah, they weren't using it.
And I think a lot of those guys probably have the same mindset as me. I just like Beckett anyways. I'm still going to grade with him, which I say go nuts. Do whatever. Grade with whoever you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just going to say this is like most other stories we hear. Nothing's going to change in a month or 2 months. Nothing with me.
Yeah.
So, and if they steal some talent from Beckett and PSA becomes a better company for it, I'm all for it. Yeah. Sign me up.
I do wonder if
Chill PSA, baby. I mean, it sounds heartless, but it's like if you got them, a company that nobody cares about anymore, go nuts. If you came out and said, hey, you know what, we actually are going to really revive them because we think two competing, thriving grading companies under the same holding company is going to make grading explode even more and make it better for everybody, that is the absolute dream scenario. Would love to see that happen.
Yeah.
So do that or gut them and make PSA better so I can get my cards back faster. I'm fine either way.
Yeah, I could see a world where that is an actual option, though.
Maybe. I don't think so because I've seen this route with SGC, but maybe. But again, I am of the team. I'm on Team PSA. Whatever makes it. And by the way, people are only anti-monopoly when they don't benefit from it. I benefit from PSA becoming a monopoly and becoming better. It's a total self-serving statement. I benefit from that company thriving, so go nuts.
I think it's so long as it continues in the way that it has, where
Correct.
there's enough. I do not see a world where we see PSA doing things that the majority of the hobby, even if it's not the majority, the loudest voices, if everybody hated it, that would be a different story. If they had to deal with that and they saw a lack of business, if they saw
if it affected the number,
exactly.
Voices mean nothing.
But that's what I mean.
What's
like
the numbers?
If there's a loud enough voice, a cry of that, even if you're not in the hobby news cycle, I think there's going to be people who hear it, and maybe that would affect numbers. And if it affects numbers, then they would probably make those changes, whatever people wanted to see. Yeah,
I got news here. My prediction would be we expand our partnership and business with PSA in 26. Like I'd be shocked if we didn't.
It is funny. I was like, you know what? If anything, this will be the worst time for a sponsor to cut ties because you want more promotion when something dramatic's going on. So
no, I mean they're expanding their marketplace. They're expanding the stuff they're going to do. Hopefully, we get them on eBay Live soon and go crazy over there. I'm planning on expanding. Like I'm very much of the belief too. You adapt or die. Like, hey, we were all about Panini back in the day. Topps came in and clearly took over. We jumped on Topps. It's been a great move for us. PSA, we were with SGC, and it was awesome for our customers, and myself included, and then it became a better option with PSA. We changed that as well. I'm not going to get caught in sentimentality when it comes to matters of business.
But to be clear on that, your point, it's also the same case. If something else came along that was better, that was not only better, but worked out better for everybody.
Yeah, if CGC came on, all of a sudden, for whatever reason, they took over huge market share. Their resale value was unbelievable. Return times, everything was better. Then we'd have to have the conversation with PSA of like, hey, I know you're paying us, but I can't in good conscience tell my people go with them anymore. There is a better option. We did that with SGC. They were the best option, and I really believe that, despite the fact that PSA was around then for a lot of things. PSA is just clearly the best option right now. That's where I am putting my money. That's where I would advise others to people. When that changes, and it doesn't change because they're a sponsor, it changes when I start making decisions with my own money, then that's when we reach out to the sponsors. When I started using SGC, we were using them for 2 months. Then we called Pete. Hey, we're promoting the crap out of you guys. I think you're the best anyways. You should be paying us to do this. It wasn't, hey, pay us, and then we will tell people you're the best.
I still have. When I called Pete to set that up.
Call Pete right now.
I still have his voicemail on my phone.
Play
I will never delete it.
Play it. Let's hear that voicemail. What's that? 2022?
Let me see. I've got the date.
That might even be 21.
Let's see.
I remember they released a thing on April Fool's one year that was pretty funny. By the way, we're gonna have Gordy on in just a second. Gordy Bonkers. We'll get a little vintage update and mailbag. Like that's all we got. Ranting about freaking grading for 45 minutes.
I do have a couple of other things that are pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah, that sounds interesting. There's been no sarcasm in the show. It's missing. There's no snark.
I mean,
fighting with a shill over a shadow of a man. You're not even here. You're not even here mentally. You're checked out.
Oh, dang it.
You want to play it to the system, huh?
Hey, Jesse, this is Peter Steinberg. I apologize
There you go. That's all I'm gonna play.
That's all you're gonna.
That was May of 21. That's
Oh, it was 21. Yeah.
I had to get that. This was early on. I knew SGC was going to be the one that we needed to work with because it was the one that you were grading with a lot, and then that was the one that I got initially introduced. And after
COVID, man, they were awesome. So, anyways.
All right. So one point that I saw. So this was a post from Ken Goldin maybe a week ago. He made a comment about alternative asset managers coming in. I think it was like coming into the actual Goldin facilities.
He invited me to his party, by the way. Couldn't make it.
He had what party?
The red carpet little Netflix thing. It was very kind. I got a text message.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wasn't going to go to Philadelphia, but it was very kind of Ken.
Well, if I don't get invited to anything
Me and Ken
anymore,
text. That's why.
That's cool. You know, I'll come. Actually, I wouldn't have gone, but still.
Why would you say that? You just insulted the man for not inviting you, and then insulted him again by saying you wouldn't even hypothetically go.
I mean, if I got it like last minute, like you did, because that's obviously a non-invite. But I mean, like
I got it like a week ahead of time. He actually messaged me. Talk about going above and beyond. I got an automated invite thing. I was like, I don't know what this is. Opened it, and then later he said, "This was pretty cool." I thought, "Hey, Mike, I sent you the invite a while ago for the Philly party, by the way. Don't know if you realize." Then we went on to talk about our little thing that happened with Goldin. I thought it was very nice. He followed up. That was a credit to Ken. I'm being complimentary.
Well, to the comment that I was pointing out,
yes.
Ken was pointing to alternative asset managers coming into the space because they were specifically looking at items, memorabilia that they had to make investments and or purchases of.
Okay.
This, to me, and it was kind of the point of his video as well, I don't know if we have much longer where this especially applies to the GOAT items out there, the Mickey Mantles, the Jordan items, whether that's cards, from cards to baseballs to jerseys, all that kind of thing. I don't think we have much longer to get any of those items at the prices that we're seeing right now. I think they've already gone up, but I honestly believe that if that's the case, if we're going to have alternative asset fund managers coming in, I think we are going to see nothing but a skyrocket in these goods, because when you have items like that, where especially if there's competition, if this is like a one-off, this is the only fund manager out there and it's, John's funds 401k, yeah, that's not going to be. Is it
an LLC?
That's not a reliable thing. But if you have Morgan
John
Stanley, if
LLC.
you got Invesco, if you got like some of these big names coming in and doing this is exactly like this is actually something I have a little bit more knowledge on, because when I was doing the finance thing, one of the big products that we did with annuities, like they really wanted you to invest your assets wisely and diversify. And one of those diversifications was in alternative assets, because they helped
Is this the perverts at Jackson you were working with?
So I was working at Jackson, yes. And so
I met those kids at the Sounds game, bunch of pervert college students.
The diversification idea is still solid, though.
Fair.
Despite any perversions.
I was going to say, you're not going to bat for those creeps.
No, I did. I loved Jackson people. They were all great. Well, they were mostly all great.
Not what Jesse said when the cameras.
The diversification idea, though, is actually really solid. Right. And that is a lot of the reasons why we're seeing already people talk about, like, hey, you should put some, collectibles in your portfolio. We talk about it all day long. Yeah, that's cool. But who's doing it and how are they doing it? If they do something like this, which is very similar to, remember, like Collectible, they were a sponsor.
COVID, there was a lot of this.
Yeah, remember, like
funds announcing crap.
They were
this.
like, was they owned a card and people could buy shares of that card. Yeah, the fractional thing.
I think the hobby has learned no more fractional, but it doesn't mean they won't get put into asset classes where people are invested in. Maybe. Yeah.
So this is like a more actual official way of doing that, and where you could actually go to your Fidelity account
like a fund.
And move your money into one of those funds.
Sure.
If that happens, you will see nothing but increases in prices like that. In my opinion, you start seeing that where it's like, hey, John, come on in. We want you to
back to John.
Yes, this is a different John. This is Johnny. So Johnny and Jane, they're coming in. They're wanting to plan for retirement, and we are going to tell them as their advisors to put it into some of these funds. These funds, I think you'd really appreciate. They've got some of your biggest athletes in there. They've got your Michael Jordans, your Larry Birds. They've got their cards, their basketballs. Oh, wow, that's a thing. That's a real thing that people care about. It's not just like a thing for kids anymore. So those people hear that. Johnny and Janie, excuse me. Sarah was his mistress. He let her go a long time ago. Johnny and Jane go out and they start talking about it to other people. They say, hey, this is what my financial advisor said. Maybe I'm thinking about going out and buying some stuff myself. I honestly see a cascading effect where you see not only those big ticket items, those GOAT items go up, but I do think it's another one of those a rising tide lifts all ships type of scenarios where if that happens, more people become aware, more people buy it.
Three points of rebuttal. Number one, Jane is a Karen and has no friends to advise.
You don't know Jane.
Number two, Jane is very sexist and only clicks WNBA, not male players.
You've never had her ambrosia salad.
She's a trash bag. Number three, we saw this in COVID, and yeah, there was a great spike, then there was a big fall, and it caused a lot of instability. I worry about that. I hope it doesn't happen.
We saw a big spike it was still in the card community, though. That was
and then we saw a huge amount of instability, like the free fall for the next year and a half after that.
Yeah, but we didn't see companies that have billions of dollars put money in, then they make sure we're not going to let that fall. They don't.
No, I think they sell at the high and then get out of the hobby is my point.
Oh, maybe it could happen. Yes,
I also take Ken with a grain of salt. Like that's a totally and maybe he's spot on.
It absolutely
it's also
is self-serving because he wants people to come and buy.
I'm
his
selling the option.
More.
I'm launching a Netflix show.
Yeah, so 1,000%.
Gordy, I bet Gordy knows about this. Gordy does asset stuff too.
Oh, okay.
This is going to be a you and him thing. I'm telling you.
Well, all of it does stand to reason that there's a lot of evidence pointing to why that would make sense, not just for bolstering his own personal business.
Again, that is your area. I have no rebuttal. All right, Gordy is back. Gordy Bonker Show, the host, the tallest man on the network.
Whoa.
I think he is taller than you. I had actually asked Rebecca about this recently. What? Aren't you 6'5", Gordy?
I'd say 6'4". I don't want to get crazy.
See, that's no. Let me show you the difference, though. That's a humble 6'4". Jesse's like, 6'4", 6'5". That's the difference.
I've never said 6'5".
My license.
Only ever said 6'4".
Hey, let's play a game. What does my license say? I'm gonna have you.
I like how this is a conversation of me and Gordy's height, and it turns to Mike.
I'm gonna have.
What, Mike? Mike, did you need another thing to look at?
What do you think my license is?
He's just staring at his picture on his license.
Winner gets a Mickey Mantle rookie card.
It says 5'8".
6'4". License says 6'4".
All right.
So.
Yours says 5'8".
Mine does say 5'8". Jesse wins a Mantle card. Gordy, send it to him right now.
Gordy, how are you? So just to preface for the audience, one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on is you had specifically reached out saying that there is big news going on in vintage.
Big moves.
Big moves lead to big news. Tell us a little bit, Gordy. What is the big news of big moves?
I really feel like there's a shift that's been happening in the market really since late August in terms of the higher end echelon of vintage cards moving.
Dude, this is like a dance that I'm just going to watch you two do the little waltz. He was literally just saying this.
I said, even before you came on the show, I said,
kismet.
This is exactly why he's coming on.
It's freaking kismet.
But I want to hear more. I want to hear from Gordy's point of view. He deals with this day in, day out.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so I have been fortunate enough to be brokering a lot of high dollar sales. Early September, I sold 52 Topps Mickey Mantle PSA 8 in the neighborhood of 1.2 million. I'm really excited, I would say call it 1.2 million. I sold a couple of 55 Clemente PSA 8 rookies around that time frame, around 90 to 100,000. I took a little bit of trade in those. And, one of the things that got me excited to talk to you guys is just seeing in the last 3 months the price moves that have been happening. There's a 55 Clemente 8. So that same card I sold 3 months ago for 90,000 is closing tonight at Heritage. And if the gavel hits right now, it's closing at 160,000. So you're seeing a massive jump in a card like that. What's also interesting at this Heritage auction is you do have another 52 Mantle PSA 8 that is up for auction. The current bid, if it were to close right now, is just right around 1.1 million. You see a lot of bidding activity happen in the extended bidding period. So, this could close. The estimate that Heritage has on this card is 1.5 million. The last public sale was at Fanatics, just north of $1 million, right before I had brokered that exact card out. It sold in the Fanatics auction for around 1.05 in that area. So anyway, the point being, the high-end collectibles market is seeing this huge jump higher, and there's a lot of speculation as to why that is. It was interesting to see Ken Goldin put out a short form video last week.
Yeah, this is exactly what Jesse just brought up. This is wild.
You have discussion around those alternative asset funds starting to really focus on the collectibles industry. And part of it is just because of the basic laws, supply and demand. The super high end stuff has a very limited supply count. The demand is increasing, and the hobby is growing as well in terms of cultural relevance.
Hey, Gordy.
Hang on. Yeah. Let's have a back and forth, if you don't mind, as we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've got a question. When you're dealing with some of these sales, first off, how often would you say you're seeing new record sales?
Frequently, and I think, other examples, like just a month or two ago, I sold a 66 Mantle. So later in his career run for 23,000. Comps were between like 20 and 23. Buyer felt comfortable playing the high end of comps. REA just sold a 66 Mantle PSA 9 for, I want to say 33,000, like 2 months later. Jesus. So when this higher end stuff does come available, people are jumping towards it. Now, it doesn't happen every time, and I think a lot of that has to do with specific timing in terms of the right eyeballs, seeing the right auction house. One of the predictions that I put out for 2026 in this week's episode of my show was the auction house model kind of under attack. You're seeing auction houses just raising their buyers' premiums to kind of cover themselves. And, buyers are having a lot of alternative ways to get into these cards. They don't have to go to the traditional auction houses to get access to this stuff. You're seeing, more content being put out. Direct and private sales are continuing to move higher. That's why you see the growth of like private marketplaces that these auction houses are starting to invest into, because the bidding method isn't working for a lot of cards,
Hey, let me push on that one, Gordy, real quick before we change that. So you've brokered some of these deals or sold them yourself. Without getting specific, are you selling to individuals or brokering deals to individuals, or are you selling to the type of people Ken Goldin says are coming into the market right now?
That's exactly what I want to know. I want to know if there's corporations, because I guarantee you we don't know who's buying these cards unless they announce it
at an auction.
Auctions, but
Gordy would know. Dude, we're in sync today, Jesse.
I know.
In sync.
It makes me uncomfortable.
I think, so to answer your question in short, the guys that are buying these cards from me are most of the time acting as individual like they are all going to have 100% equity stake in the card. In like the 7-figure and up range, you have more ties to what I would call family offices and like family trusts and
really, I want one of those.
A little bit more of like pools of capital, but there isn't like a BlackRock or a private equity name that people would recognize that I have personally directly spoken to yet that is saying, hey, we're putting this fund together.
But you are seeing not just individuals, like you're seeing trusts or different things. At least, I mean, that's probably the gap between, that's like the gap between me and Gordy or you buying a card. Yeah. And it's like you got that next, like, okay, here's the pool of a trust, a family thing. But I mean, just the fact that you're seeing that is.
But what I want to see, I mean, this is a step towards what I think Ken is probably hoping and alluding to as far as those alternative asset managers coming in.
Is that what Kevin's doing, by the way? Is that his name, Kevin, the Shark?
Oh,
is that like is that what is like? Is he the top? Like when you talk about, let me because I want your opinion. Mm-hmm. So let's say the bottom of the mountain. Again, in terms of scale, is me, Gordy, you, whatever. We go out and buy an individual card that we hold, and maybe we buy and sell, flip it. Mm-hmm. Middle ground is the trust, like we just talked about, family level. Is the top of the mountain someone like a Kevin coming in with millions to do something with it?
Not necessarily, because I don't know. I think Kevin O'Leary, I know he split it with, I think it was 2 other people. I don't believe, at least, and I could be wrong, maybe Gordy has different information, but I don't believe that went into any kind of fund. He's almost like the middle, the people that Gordy's working with, and even the Kevin O'Leary's to some extent, the people who are buying it as an investment for their personal use, for the use of a family or some kind of trust in that sense, yes, those would be, in my mind, a step to the highest echelon of investor. The highest would be, like you said, like the BlackRocks or
John and Jane.
Yeah, the Merrill Lynch's, anybody who's going out and buying this as an investment for not just the people they know personally or that they're their clients. This is buying it for 401ks, for people who have their pensions.
Okay, I see. So that's the top of your mountain.
Because that's where you're going to have the, not millions, but you'll have the billions of dollars to invest.
So Gordy, is that what you think? Like, do you think we're seeing that yet?
No, not even close. Okay. But if that were to happen, obviously that would really, really adjust where people are looking at this stuff. The thing that I think is interesting is that other alternative asset classes, like the high-end art market, or even like, parts of the real estate market, have fractional ownership.
Yeah, there's real estate funds. Absolutely. I almost bought into one last year, as a matter of fact.
A REIT.
But
Real estate investment trust.
How dare you? Sorry, Gordy. Go ahead.
This model like hasn't really worked yet for sports cards. You've seen
Right.
Rally try it, and they're still in the mix. But like, I think it's fair to say that it hasn't super.
Yeah,
collectible
collapsed. Like,
Correct. So, like, there's something to be said that like, in order for this to work, it seems like the amount of like, I would say shareholders is still like relatively small, and it's like pooling together a lot of capital of a few individual high net worth people. The thing that would change that is if there was like a broader adoption and people wanted at a massive scale to get into it. Sure. I think what would have to happen for that is for this to continue to get more and more popular.
Yep.
And that kind of brings me to the other part, like this whole shift that's happening in terms of like the financial interest and cultural relevance of sports cards as a market is like the continued coverage that you're seeing in the media of fanatics. Michael Rubin has been very consistently appearing on CNBC.
Sure.
Just last week, there was a clip that went pretty viral, people putting together. CNBC had a morning spot of the reporter standing at Bleecker Street Trading talking about the growth of the collectibles industry.
Yep.
Morgan Stanley putting out a report trying to actually assess the total size and valuation of the collectibles industry, which I think they pegged at around 100 billion. And I think that type of momentum is what's going to generate more high net worth people that are looking for like new, interesting ways to market to high net worth investors, or just like put together alternative asset funds, because that's where like the puck has been going for some time now. Yeah. And there's so many different ways we could go with that, but I just think when you start to notice the valuation changes on this high end caliber of card where the supply count is really low, I think that is more than likely either speculation or direct action of pooled capital and some sort of fund structure that could be coming.
Yeah, and so here's my pushback then too, and this is what I think most people think, by the way, like a real estate fund, by the way. So that's like I own real estate personally. That's an easy thing. I want a house, buy a house, easy. I was approached about that though, and honestly, my first thought was, I've never pooled my money like with something, but if I was going to, real estate makes sense. I can look at the last 30 years of comps, and hey, this thing fell, but it came back. It's a necessity, not a commodity, all that. I'll be honest, even if somebody approached me about a fund in cards, which I make my living in cards, like my first thing, okay, let's see the data and the history. It's like, well, look what happened 2-3 years ago. It was a huge crash, and we're not back to those highs yet. That would scare me off. If I'm institutional money, like real estate I can show, or even art. I can show art has a history of X amount. So yeah, I think to your point, it would take more time and exposure before we get there at least.
I think you could honestly say, yes, there was a crash. But if you look at the market as a whole, the collectible markets as a whole, where did we start and where are we now? Because if you consider the cards that, we're talking about cards that aren't just 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. Some of these are over 100 years old. And in many instances, you've seen some, not all, but some of them go up 10, 20, 100x. Like you're talking about cards that were you're talking about cards that came in cigarette boxes that no one even cared about, and now they're worth millions of dollars. The idea that collectibles is just in the last 5 years is someone who's not educated. If you educated someone on the point of, yes, we did see a downturn after the spike in COVID, but we are now in many instances up above where we were even at that peak, and where we are in the grand scheme of it, it's very similar to, say, the Dow, where, yes, over the time that the Dow has been in existence, you've seen many drops, but overall, it has consistently gone up.
Yeah.
So, I do think that we are still maybe in the early days of investing, like literal, not just like I'm buying a card for myself, but
we're not even in the days of it yet.
In cards.
Yeah, because no one's even doing it yet, like you're talking.
But I mean, like I was looking up to see the guys who bought into that card with Kevin O'Leary. One of them is Matt Allen.
That's Shine.
And then Paul Warshaw. But
Paul, I don't know.
Oh, is Matt Allen Shine?
Bald fella, Shine.
This isn't. We were talking about, I think, something different.
No, Matt Allen is Shine 150. That's a collector. That's the guy who bought the card with Kevin.
Okay, well, he is an investor, though.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I didn't realize that. I was looking at one of the posts. It was talking about how they were on Squawk Box. It's a CNBC finance
I know
show.
that one. Yeah.
So it's funny because I literally just took screenshots maybe 2-3 days ago where they had a section. It didn't have any of the people. There was no talking heads. It was just the reporters talking about exploding collectibles market being valued at over $100 billion, seeing average growth of 6% or more over the last 3 years, which honestly, I would say 6% is probably lowballing it. I think maybe there might be an aggregate of 6%, but overall, there are some that we've seen the Pokemon market in the last year, and they even pointed this out, over 100%. So there are definite areas where you're seeing growth, and it's not just people in the hobby anymore. Now it is the people that are making financial decisions for how you're going to retire. That is big. That's a big deal for a lot of people. And I do think while we're speculating, we're talking about things that are to come, I think we're closer than we ever were during COVID to that actually happening.
Cool. Yeah, okay. I totally agree with all that. I think I agree as well that I saw the 6% CAGR thing getting thrown around. And if I've been doing this for some of the clients that are interested in like very high-end cards that don't transact a ton. You need to look at like historical performance over the last 10 years plus. And in those upper elite cards, like their annual growth year over year compounds like closer to 20-25% in some instances, which, candidly beats basically everything else that you could have invested your money in over the last 2 decades. But it really has to come down to like what is the most like best of the best, like that same sort of trade that people talk about with the GOATs, like the absolute grail cards. That is the stuff that people are really actively trying to get into. Like the 52 Mantle 8 is always a good barometer. The 3 PSA 10s are gone. They are not going to transact with anybody.
Yep.
There's only 5 PSA 9s, and then there's roughly 30 PSA 8s. So like the 8s will transact. Like you'll see it roughly once a year publicly. It's interesting that we're seeing like 2 publicly sell in the last 3 months plus my sale. So I think where it gets really interesting is that jump in the vintage market, specifically from 8s to 9s. Like you could still sometimes get access to 9s, but they're going for big premiums versus they previously sold, because people are recognizing like once the supply of these 9s get dried up, like that's it. Because a lot of and that's something else that's very noticeable too with the people that I'm selling cards to, is they have no interest in short-term sale. I talked to the investor yesterday who bought one of the Clemente 8s, and I said, like, you're going to be pretty much close to a double. You're going to make 80-90 grand if you were to sell this at the new public comp. And he's excited, but I don't think he really cares. It's more so of like what this is going to be 10, 20, 30 years from now. And it's funny as well, because at the time, like it feels like it's a lot of money. And then as soon as a new public comp gets made of somebody else buying it, it goes, oh, well, I guess that wasn't a lot.
Yeah, you got a deal on it. Yeah. So my question with all this too, and this is always my other thing, because then I take off like the whole big picture, I take off like specifically the GOAT stuff, and then my next, and not even pushback, is just, but how does this affect 99.9% of collectors now?
That's what I actually was gonna ask.
Yeah, because we're in sync. I knew you were gonna say this.
Funny that you
because we're tied. But like that's my thing. Like, and I'm not a vintage guy, but my GOATs are like I've upgraded my Bird rookie to a PSA 9 this year, and that. Fanatics Fest, that was when that was. And that's way up since then, in about a year. The Brady stuff I've went into for a while continues to go up. But I'm also like, that's great. It also doesn't affect my Drake May card. Like, there is a definite disconnect. How does it work with vintage, though? Like, hey, the Mantle 8's on the move and the Clemente, but an Ernie Banks 4th year PSA 4, does that have any correlation to what you see there?
No, and okay. I think the more interesting conversation, I think, in terms of like what's moving those markets could be like the SGC versus PSA conversation.
Okay.
And, the high-end market moving in that direction, like will have trickle-down effect. Like I think once all the 9s are basically dried out and 8s are moving around, eventually like the 8s will dry up. And then, 7s will start to be the thing to go get. But, the values of those cards will never reach the ones above it.
Sure.
When you're looking at like, mid-career Hall of Famers, like that's a great example, like a 66 Ernie Banks and a 4. Like off the top of my head, that's probably around like a $50 to $60 card.
Yeah.
Like, you will always see that card trade around there. Like, I don't think you're going to lose any of your value in it, which is oftentimes like why I talk about why the hobby is such a great hobby from a financial perspective, because the money that you're putting into it, at least on the vintage side, like you're always going to get back if you ever want it. As long as you're buying somewhat reasonable prices, like you're going to be okay. I think the thing that I wanted to also highlight is that a lot of people I on my show was like, the SGC 954 Aaron sold for 160,000 compared to the last two PSA 9 Aarons that were like 380, 440. So like there's a huge gap right now between PSA and SGC on the high end.
Yeah.
But when you look at the price point that you were just talking about, like that $50 to $10,000 price point, I have not seen a valuation shift at all, and the demand is still exactly the same before and after PSA's or collector's acquisition of SGC.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. So, like, if I'm spending huge money coming into the space and I'm not like a card savant, I'm going, what's the top brand? What's the most well-known? It's PSA. Like, you're probably putting like, it seems like a safer play as opposed to, hey, what is SGC? It's their little sister company. They're kind of shutting down type thing. Yeah.
And I like disagree with that take. Like, I think that won't be the case long-term. Like, sure. I hope, it's a conflicted feeling because I like love SGC personally. Mm-hmm. But I think like that has gotten so off kilter.
It's almost too out of skew. Yeah, and by the way, I love SGC more than any. I still almost all of my PC is SG. I mean my big stuff before then. But dude, I've got a ton of SGC. I would love to see it come back. I also recognize right now it's not. But at the same time, when like there's Griffeys, I talked about this, I don't know, 2-3 months ago. There's some Griffey refractors now. As long as it's an SGC 9.5 or a 10, if there's a huge gap between a PSA 9 and that, I'll just buy it. I'm keeping it anyways. It's not going to keep going down. I think if anything, the gap over time closes. So then I've got some built-in profit just because I bought the grade at the right time. So I do agree with that part.
And what does that tell you as well? That like you and I are both like genuine collectors, love our SGC cards. Sure. Like I don't think Nat Turner is sitting there thinking, I want to kill this brand that like so many collectors are passionate about and enjoy. Like I think it's going to take some time to like rebuild the resources that they clearly reallocated away from SGC to PSA. But if we see like some sort of rebalancing down the line and like the brand actually doesn't go away, I think some people might look around and be like, why were we like, did we actually think SGC was just going to go away? So time will tell. I could be wrong, and I'm willing to, be on a podcast and share it publicly. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I just would be really surprised if he did that,
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
So yeah, those are some of the big things I was like kind of giddy to tell you guys about. Is just like, obviously, I'm sure you've talked at length about the Beckett deal and PSA's involvement with it, but you're seeing like a lot of money move to PSA stuff right now, and I think there's opportunity in some of that high grade SGC as well. So between that and all the investment activity I think that's coming in 2026, it's going to be a pretty interesting year.
Nice. No, it was good timing. Like I said, we had just finished talking about the Goldin thing. So, yeah, that was good timing. We hadn't done vintage in a while anyway, so, yeah, it's a good check-in. So, yeah, why don't we jump? We're going to bang out mailbags. That's Gordy Bonkers. The Gordy Bonker Show is on the network now. You follow him on socials and all that. So, yeah, we'll have you back as we need some more vintage talk for sure.
And if anybody wants to hear the rest of my predictions or anything like that, the Gordy Bonker Show on Sports Cards Nonsense, my episodes come out every Wednesday. This last Wednesday, I just released it. And then I'm also writing on Substack. You can check it out, bonkerscards.substack.com.
Perfect.
Nice.
Good deal. Cool, Thank you, man. Good to catch up.
Thanks, guys. Stoked. Later.
We'll see you, bud.
Oh, there you go. Gordy is on the same page, I feel like. At this point, I do think we are in a very interesting place setting up 2026 going into this new year. I am curious to know just how far off, because there's no way we're going to be 100% right on any of this, but I do think the fact that there's a lot of people seeing things the same way. Honestly, though, I was going to say, when we see things the same way, maybe there is going to be something to that, but I've often seen too, at least in the finance world, as soon as everybody starts thinking the same way, someone's going to come in and try and do something completely different. So who knows? Yeah. All right. Did you know, before we get to mailbag, did you know that Arena Club has their freak packs?
The Greek freak.
The Greek freak, Giannis himself, Giannis, as he's affectionately known.
Future Celtic.
If you're wondering, when you see these packs, apparently they are spelled FR34K. I'm just pointing this out because, like Mike and Rebecca, we're not 100%. That is nerd typing, I think it's leet language. That's how they spell freak and leet. So
Kerr, yeah, yes,
Kerr?
Very excited.
Steve Kerr, who are we talking about?
How dare you? So these are the Giannis curated packs.
The packs are going to be going for $149 and $399. They release Friday. That is Friday the 19th at 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Sorry,
9 Mountain time, 10 Central time. You want to round it out?
What is
in
it?
Samoa? What
What's
time do they
Greenwich,
release?
Greenwich Mean Time, though. Didn't think about that one.
Stand down.
I actually don't know how the Greenwich mean. I mean, I know the general idea, but I have no idea like what that is in relationship to us. It doesn't matter. Here's the thing about Arena Club. There is still the ability for new users to get a discount on those packs. If you go in and use SCN, that is the code. You will, at checkout, if you use that, you will get, what is our percentage discount on there? I can't remember.
25? 20?
It's 15. Maybe it's 20. Let's call it 100%.
It's a great discount.
It's 100%
Use the
discount.
code.
I am actually really excited for, this is a cool pack.
You don't care about basketball. You want the non-sport.
Well, if this was like a big men, like this is the Giannis pack
just
because
all
it's big
tall
men,
dudes?
just all big men, I would go after.
Aren't there
it.
just giveaways
I'd go
too?
for a Joker. I'd go for something for Shaquille O'Neal. But that is what
Shaq.
makes this. Shaquille O'Neal is also his name. But yeah, that's what makes this really cool is because there's actual physical prizes to go along with it. It's
Dinner
not
at
just,
his house is one of them.
I didn't get that memo, but
read your memos.
there are other prizes that go along. I am pulling up the list of it. So you've got gaming PC, GoPro Hero 13, PlayStation 5, Slim Digital.
PS5.
I just got a PS5, and it is fun. 13-inch iPad, AirPod Maxes, Meta glasses, Sony Alpha 7. Wow.
I don't know what any of these things
I'm looking
are
at
yet.
a Herman Miller gaming.
Herman?
These are all really.
They got
premium,
wait a minute. They got
items.
the Herman there? Are you kidding
Herman
me?
Miller is a premium luxury chair, my friend.
Herman Miller's on a list.
So, anyways, they've got a number of things that you're able to win as well.
Sure.
So,
In addition to the Grail chases and all that.
Exactly. I mean, I guess if you care about the card, whatever. But yes.
I think the big news with Arena Club is hopefully going to come next year if we continue this deal. SCN curated packs. Other people have done this. We have been approached and talked to, and we're flirting. We haven't gone out to dinner yet.
I'll tell you,
flirting.
The idea that I've got a couple really fun non-sport ideas, but one of them I think would go over like gangbusters because I have not seen anybody.
One of them is we fly you down here and I insult you to your face in the studio.
Is that them or are you talking
That's
to me?
a
Just
golden ticket is what that is.
You fly down here and you watch Mike insult me to my face.
That's not a bad idea. Do we get the couches? Put those
I mean,
things
they
to
already have
use?
YouTube. They could just turn that on.
Better in person. So
Cheaper
there you go.
than a
Arena
flight.
Club, get in on them.
SCN discount code.
And you get the buyback at 90%, which is still cool.
Mailbag.
There you go.
We've got a few in here. I did not review these, so bear with me as we go through. First one out, our good friend Cody James. What is the next thing you think Collectors Inc. is going to buy? Another grading company or maybe another card company? Ooh.
I don't actually have an answer for this.
Yeah, I can't imagine they go after
The
another
SCN
grading
Media
company.
Network.
There's always
Hey,
that
you
option.
cut me a check for 20 mil. We'll make it happen. Sign over the assets.
That's an option. I would honestly venture to say they might take a break for a minute and maybe just focus on fine tuning all the other purchases that they've made. And
Yeah, I don't have a useful. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even have someone like comes to.
Yeah, I'm
I'd
trying
be
to
shocked about
speculate.
grading because who else are you going to buy? CGC is massive. You're not buying them.
Well, and I can't.
And then that is like no question antitrust violation. Yeah, I don't think it would be. That would be my only thing. I would be shocked if it was anything to do with another grading company. Maybe they buy like some weird AI technology firm and
Now
start to
that's-
incorporate that. That
that's
I
a
could
good
potentially.
idea.
It's a great idea. See, that's just part of what comes with that $20 million check you write me for the network.
Von Bailey.
Not a big deal. I'm just saying these are things.
Von Bailey says,
VB, big PSA guy.
I feel that the messaging from collectors is pretty common for initial takeover, and the ultimate in will be similar to SGC. Really, no need for Beckett to exist other than grab the talent to help the org and the rich database for cards they have. Just my opinion.
I agree. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I appreciate that, Vaughn. It's a very rational take. And I feel like that's few and far between these days. Zeppi Borelli, first and foremost, shout out to the admin and mods. Y'all are doing a good job.
Wow.
That's not okay.
Deserved.
Did you say anything to him?
No.
That's awesome.
They work hard, though. I mean that, yeah.
Second, in recent months, I have noticed the pod has a weird ad placement. Ads are being inserted in the middle of a conversation. Is there a way to get those placed at a more natural spot?
Are we
Rebecca,
doing that,
that sounds
Rebecca?
like a Rebecca question.
Well, is
at
that
this
Rebecca
point.
or is that Spotify?
I don't know.
No, it's usually me.
Dang it, Rebecca.
She's like, you don't need to hear. This is
Dang
going
it.
on.
That part just got cut.
Run on.
Well, there you go, Rebecca.
Nah, yeah, I'll try harder. I don't know.
Try harder.
Hey,
Rebecca.
can someone be nice to Rebecca?
He complimented the admins, though. That was nice of him.
Ian Babcock, will you be discussing the London card show scandal? It's not the London. I wouldn't call it the London card show scandal. This is more of a scandal that happened.
The Fanatics thing.
Multiple places. Well, involves Fanatics. Involves, I think,
Loaded boxes and all that. They were writing like hits.
They're-
allegedly.
Yeah. So that's the biggest point, I think, is allegedly, because there hasn't been hard proof. There's a guy who's making a lot of posts about it. He says he's got videos and stuff like that. He's going to post. He keeps teasing, I'm going to post it. But he hasn't actually posted anything. So it's like, it begs the question, is it actually a thing? And ultimately what the issue was is he's claiming that there are people, I think, that may have worked for Fanatics at the time. I don't believe work there now, but we're pointing out to others, hey, this is where the big hits are. Like, if you want to know that we know ahead of time, this is where it's going to be. Again, though, the proof of this is yet to be fully seen. So that's my understanding on it. That's why we haven't really given a whole lot of detail on it, because it would be more speculating at this point.
My only comment is I would never in a million years have sent a cease and desist letter like they sent to him, because then he posted it and went viral with the tweet. I would just ignored him or just come out and gone after him.
I don't know. Ever since he posted it and then he said things about like, oh yeah, we're just getting started, this and that. But I believe that was the time when he said he was going to post the video, and then he didn't. So maybe it worked. I don't know. I don't know.
Good content, it looks like.
That for him, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I mean for him. Yeah. I don't know anything about the story. My contention is the same. If Fanatics wants to start sending loaded boxes, I am all in on that cover up. Send them to me. I won't say a word about it. I'll still represent you well. So,
Ruben Mitchell, when it comes to prices, does a BGS 10 have the same price as a PSA 10?
Usually above. PSA 10 pristine, usually a little higher than a 10, and Black Label's by far the king of resale.
Let's see. Morgan John Fox, I have now fully committed to selling my bulk of cards to condense down to 20 or so higher value cards I care about, and which I believe will hold value. Can I legit send a box with 200 graded cards valued in $10 to $300 value ranges to a consigner, or should I go another route?
Yeah, one of two routes. You can send them to DC Sports 87. They will list them. Or you send them to me, and I'll sell them on my live show on eBay Live.
There you go.
Any more questions, Morgan? Next time, text me. What are you doing? One of the judges on the Mantle Hobby Awards that airs tonight.
I appreciate
6
Morgan.
o'clock Central Standard Time.
We
don't win, we're going after
Mantle Hobby Awards are not the only awards that will be done this year. I have announced that there will be the Poppy Awards. The Poppy Awards are the pop culture awards, and they're just going to be about cards and products. There's going to be, I'm saying this here too, because I put it out on the Hobby Nonsense, but at this point, at the end of this week, I'm going to be posting up it's a Google form. I'm going to ask everybody in the non-sports cards nonsense channel, and anybody else who wants to vote on the options that are put on there. There's going to be a write-in option as well. And then on the 29th, we're going to record the episode that comes out on the 31st, and that's where we'll do the Poppy Awards. So it'll be a fun little thing. It's something new. Somebody had a fun idea to do it, and
Is this a Kroger idea?
No, this is a Matsy idea.
Oh, I don't trust that guy. I don't even know.
Matsy's a great guy, but he also knows a lot about the non-sport world, and I think the idea is just overall fun. So
good. I like it.
Sean Tallman just realized that Beckett was sold, which was needed, really, right? Their customer service and operations, I'm sure, could use a rebuild. If they straightened up, they could possibly start competing with PSA as their own competitor, really.
Sure.
Well, I mean, I guess, yeah, they're
competitor to PSA,
yeah,
all to the benefit of collectors.
Yes,
yeah. In a perfect world, that's what'll happen. I don't think it will, but yes, as we discussed.
Let's see here. Zach Mayhew. Should collectors make BGS convert all 9.5s to 10s? I've seen a couple people say this.
God, Jeff Wilson said this too. What a stupid idea.
It's one of the reasons I don't grade with BGS. It's not the hobby as a whole. It's not that the hobby as a whole doesn't relate to 9.5 as they are used to PSA and SGC. Okay, it's kind of worded weirdly. So I'll just clarify. I do think that the 9.5 is it is a little frustrating because of how it is viewed by other graders and specifically PSA. But I do understand why it's needed. Like, I understand why we can't get rid of it in the sense that you're saying, well, not all 4 subgrades would have 10 in that situation. That's the difference, right? For them to be a 9.5 as opposed to a 10.
9.5 to a 10, you need 3 out of 4 10s and 1 9.5. For Black Label, you need all 4 10s.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
But they're not going to change that. There's no way.
Wait, there's something before the Black Label. There's a 10 and there's the Black Label 10, right?
Yeah, 9.5, 10, Black Label.
So Black Label 10, do you know what the difference is between that?
Yeah, I just said it. 9.5. On a 10, rather, you can have 1 9.5 sub. On a Black Label, it's all 10 subs.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood what you were saying. So you're saying on the 9.5, it's 2 9.5s?
You can have 1 9 sub and 3 9.5s. It's a min gem.
Got you. Okay.
My mom is texting me. She's watching Theo. He's asleep.
Huh.
Doesn't normally nap. Interesting.
Okay. Wow.
Happy to hear that.
Good to know. All
Very
right.
good to know. Quick Theo story.
Oh.
So we our new punishment now is go to the corner for a timeout, and we make him face the wall, and because he's so social, he is like, it kills him. He cries. It's great. It's finally something that affects him. He has now learned though to get out of that. He'll be like, pee on potty. He'll say that. He'll all right, go, and he'll run to the toilet and just sit there and just hang out. But he knows it gets him out of timeout.
Smart boy.
The thing about being devious is it also is a sign of intelligence.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
My hope is he has the intelligence and work ethic of me and the height of the Gibsons. That is the hope.
That's the only quality. Oh, man. Here, I'm just going to share this because I think it's a fun fact, a sports fact to end on. Happy John sent this over, and it still kind of blows my mind. First postseason in the NFL since 1998.
Oh, yeah.
Without Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, or Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I find that very
Most collectors alive have never had a playoff without him.
That's
Although
so crazy.
It says 90. Oh, since 98. Yeah, I was going to say because Peyton didn't make it in 98. Yeah. That's wild.
So let that just marinate on you over the weekend.
I don't know, it doesn't have to be on me, but yeah. I had a segment I actually think will be cool, and it'll be better on Monday's show. Mike Stahl on Facebook said, hey, have you seen the pricing of Cooper Flag Topps Chrome refractors? Go take a look at Wemby Prism Silvers when they came out. And the gap there, it's pretty wild right now. Like refractors are selling for $400. Wemby's when they first came out were over $1,000.
Oh, wow.
He was like, is this going to be a weird thing where stuff actually goes up after we release because people are like, wait a minute, this is kind of the same type of card.
Yeah, exactly.
Why
Except
is it
it's licensed.
Granted, he's not Wemby, but he's not that far off from the hype of Wemby's rookie season. I'm curious after a weekend of sales where Cooper stuff is.
You're talking about the Panini ones? The
Panini is Prism. The other one's
you said Prism. I'm sorry.
Chrome refractors. And
okay.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what. Again, we'll have some more sales data, so we'll see. But I
wouldn't say that Cooper Flag had the same kind of hype as Wemby, though.
Not as much. Wemby.
Yeah, no, I mean, no doubt.
But he also was not a third of the hype. Like to have it be a third of the price,
sure.
And it's Topps Chrome, which is the first year back. It's Topps Chrome.
Oh yeah,
I was surprised. I would have thought they came out the gate, similar pricing. But
breaking going on this weekend. I know everybody wants to hear about Cosmic, and for Topps Chrome, there's going to be Galaxy as well. About? So I'm just throwing it out there.
Why do you have to beat me down to prop yourself up?
How did I
like to know?
That is my question to you my entire career with you.
I know there's going to be other crap, but come break Galaxy.
I never said crap. I'm letting everybody know. Along with that, there's also going to be Galaxy on Friday. And then I think after that, it may not be anything until the Marvel release next week, which that's a different story.
You said you're gone, by the way. Where are you going?
Texas to
I didn't know that.
Dale and Susan's. Yeah, we're going to go visit. We made a plan a long time ago. Well, we made a plan after
what day are you leaving?
Heard that the Marvel product was going to be pushed. So Marvel was going to originally come out on December 23rd. I wasn't going anywhere. Then they said, hey, we're going to push it to January 16th. And I said, okay, I'm going to go out of town for a few days. And then they said, psych, we're going to release it on December 23rd again. So
is that a Wednesday?
It's a Tuesday. So
okay. When do you leave?
I leave on Tuesday at 5 a.m. So I won't even have a moment beforehand.
Central time?
Yeah, it's Greenwich Mean, actually. So, but anyways, that being said, I will have cases of both Breaker's Delight and the hobby version of the Marvel product. We'll have the pod on Monday, so we can talk a little bit more then. But this Friday is all Galaxy, Star Wars Galaxy. This may be like the last break for a little bit since we got Marvel coming out. So there you go.
And then, so we'll be breaking Cosmic Baseball and then we'll be breaking Topps Chrome basketball. But again, the channel separation, Sports Cards Nonsense is the new channel. It was the old name, but it's the new channel, so you're not following it. Even if you were, you are no longer. And then Jesse says Hobby Nonsense, so make sure you follow both shops.
Thank you very much. So we'll be back on Monday.
You're welcome.
And just
Monday,
one
I want
episode.
to remind me if you would. I do want to lead with that, or at least have it in there. I made a note, but I always forget those.
You want to lead?
I want to talk about the Cooper Flag Wemby comparison. I want to see where Topps Chrome pricing hits 5 days after release.
So 12, 19, 20, 21, 22. I make notes by the date now.
Ooh.
All right, SCN.
And Thursday solo pod that nobody knows.
There's no.
I'm gonna just jump on YouTube
Thursday?
again and do the Thursday show.
So,
YouTube did good.
Let's see. You want to do Cooper Flag versus Wemby?
I want to talk to Cooper Flag. Yeah, that Topps Chrome thing.
You want to talk to him? You were going to get him on the phone?
He'll be here in person, actually.
Cooper versus Wemby. All right, cool. So we will be back on Monday. We will see you guys then. Goodbye.
Goodbye.